Hey, Grandpa, I came to play. Huh?
Coo, coo.
Whoa! My name is Akira Uotani. I'm 18 years old and I'm currently running an inn in the house that my grandfather left for me. I reformed it into a small resort so that foreigners and people from the city can experience the calm, peaceful atmosphere of the countryside. It's my own property and I own the vegetable fields behind the resort too, so it's pretty self-sufficient. It's not a luxurious thing, but it's home, and I'm not alone.
Cuckoo!
Hey, Ponsuke, you already ate a few minutes ago. This is Ponsuke. He's a raccoon, but over the years, he's become the mascot of this inn.
Yo, you actually have a tamed raccoon here?
Welcome, yeah, we do. You must be Frederick.
Yeah, that's me. I'm looking forward to my stay here.
This is Frederick. He has made a reservation to stay here for the next week. Apparently, he's been backpacking all over the world and only recently came to Japan. Amazing, I could never do that.
Yo, like, has this raccoon always lived with you?
Oh no, he started living here around the same time I did, so just a couple of years ago. He's the main reason why I actually decided to start the resort.
Sounds like you have some history, bro. Can you tell me more about you and your raccoon?
Sure, I can prepare some green tea while you put your bags away in your room. Grandpa and I've been really fond of my grandpa ever since I was just a little kid. Hey Grandpa, I'm here to play!
Again? Honestly, I don't know what's so fun about this empty old place. There's nothing to do here, so what's the point?
I came here to see you, Grandpa. My grandpa was always an awkward man, and he had a rough way of speaking, so he wasn't always very good at dealing with people. He didn't seem to get on very well with my dad or with any of our other relatives either, because he never came to any family gatherings or dinners. Even my dad, his own son, would refuse to visit him, shouting, "Why should I care about that mean old-timer?" But even so, my grandpa had one person that understood him, and that stayed by his side.
Akira came all this way to see us, honey. Don't be so cold or you'll scare him off, all right?
Grandma!
How are you, Akira? I got all your favorite snacks ready for you.
Yay!
Hey, you can stay to eat, but then you better go home.
Okay. My grandpa was 2 years older than my grandma. They were married when my grandma was 20 and my grandpa was 18. It was an arranged marriage, but they've been together ever since, so they must have really come to love each other.
I know your grandpa's a little difficult, but don't let it get to you. He really is a good person. I don't want you to hate him.
Yeah, I won't. I love the time that I could spend with my grandma and grandpa, and really, I wish that I could stay with them forever and ever. I didn't want to go back home.
Yo, your grandma and grandpa sound like wonderful people, bro.
Yeah, they really were, but that happiness didn't last long after that. When I turned 16, my grandma was already 70 years old, and that's the year that they found out that she was in the final stages of cancer. My grandpa naturally had trouble relying on other people, but he would ask me to come over to visit her in the hospital almost every day. Grandma, I came to see you.
Oh, Akira, thank you. Where's your grandpa?
He's gone to the toilet. He'll be right back.
Okay, Akira, I want you to know something. Your grandpa was abused as a child by his parents. He was always compared to his older brother, who was stronger and much healthier. Your grandpa had a smaller physique, and in those days, children who wouldn't work or help around the home were just in the way. That's why he closed himself off from the people around him. But he really is a kind and thoughtful person. I was so lucky to have married a man like Satoru.
I'm glad that you're so happy, Grandma, but you've got to say that to Grandpa himself, you know?
Oh, I can't do that. He gets so embarrassed so easily, that man.
I can imagine him jumping up and down and flying out of the room the second he hears it.
Akira, you love your grandpa so much. What made you so fond of him? Even your father, our son, has trouble getting along with him.
I guess it's because I'm the same. I don't think Dad's that interested in me, and my big sister's good at studying, and I think that she's gonna start helping out my dad with his company soon, but I don't want to work in his company. I already feel like I'm invisible at home. The truth was, my own parents didn't love or care for me so much either. My dad is a successful businessman that built up his company into a profitable business for a matter of years. He often said that he wouldn't turn into an old, sad, pathetic loser like my old man, but I didn't think that my grandpa was a failure. He built a house here on the land that he owned, and lived off the vegetable fields and crops that he tended to all by himself. In a way, he was a minimalist. He kept to himself and lived on the bare minimum in a frugal manner. It made a lot of sense that he and my dad didn't get along so well. So, ever since my older sister and I were children, my dad would often lecture me, saying that I should do anything it takes to succeed. He often forced me to study and to take part in club activities, and he didn't even give me any space to breathe. Fumika took all that in like a sponge, and proved her worth to him, but I couldn't keep up with all her achievements. And soon I gave up on the idea of success that my dad had forced on us. It didn't take long for him to lose interest in me, and it was clear that he didn't expect anything from me at all. I didn't feel comfortable spending all the time at home, and I ended up visiting my grandparents' house whenever I could. Grandpa and Dad have their own ideas of how to live their lives, but it's hard for me to stay at home when Dad just ignores my existence. That's why I love visiting you and Grandpa. Grandpa may look like he doesn't care too much, but I still remember how he would panic and scream for you whenever I fell over or hurt myself. I could really tell that he does love me, you know?
Really? I'm glad you understand. Your dad's a little difficult himself, but I'm relieved that you've grown into such a sweet young man. It might be hard for you, but I hope you don't hate your dad for the way he's treated you.
Don't worry about me. To be honest, he's been so detached that there's nothing to hate.
Hey, we brought grapes. They're your favorite, aren't they?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, honey.
Akira found some seedless grapes. It saves you having to take care when you eat them, right? So I bought those today. I don't know if they taste good or not, you know?
That sounds lovely. Let's eat them together.
What a beautiful story, man. You all love each other so much. You're gonna make me cry, man.
Thank you. That day left a big impact on me, too. It might not have seemed like much, but I loved those peaceful days with them. However, that day, the day that we ate those grapes together, was the last day I spent with my grandma. That very evening, her condition worsened and she passed away. My grandpa must have felt wildly out of his comfort zone when he resolved to take up the position of the officiant at my grandma's funeral, but...
You? There's no way you could do it. You cooped yourself up in that old house for years. What did you say? I'm gonna take charge of Mom's funeral. All you can do is turn up and stay out of the way. Think about it, you won't be able to talk with the funeral directors. You can't even talk to our own relatives properly. My dad elbowed Grandpa out of the way and decided that he would take up the honor of being the officiant at Grandma's funeral himself. Grandpa must have thought that that would be the best way to give Grandma a proper send-off, because he didn't argue back and attended the funeral without any fuss. I stayed beside my dad the entire time and acted as a barrier between him and the rest of our family to give him peace and quiet.
Akira, you can't just ignore your grandpa, you know.
No, I need to be with him. He's suffering after losing Grandma. I don't want to leave him alone. I spent the week of the funeral close with my grandpa, and when it was over, we said our final goodbyes before the cremation. I couldn't take the idea that my grandpa was living all alone in that big house, and made the decision to speak to my parents about spending more time with my grandpas. I started staying over with him whenever I could. Frankly, it didn't make much difference to my parents whether it was my house or not, so they didn't try to stop me. But thanks to that, I was able to make a fateful encounter that day. Hey, Grandpa, I came to play… huh? Coo! Wow!
Akira, you're being too loud.
Sorry, but what's this raccoon?
It started living here a few days ago. I don't know what it wants. Honestly, you and that raccoon, you're making a commotion.
Seriously? A wild raccoon? It's my first time seeing one.
It looks like it was someone's pet.
What? Really?
Yeah, it had a collar, but the thing was acting like it was really itchy, so I took it off for him.
Oh, then I guess you must have had a name for it, huh?
I think the collar had Ponsuke written on it.
Really? Alright then, welcome to our home, Ponsuke.
Cool.
And just like that, my grandpa, Ponsuke, and I all started living together in this house. Unbelievable, right?
Yo, it really is amazing, bro. Punch sure was lucky to find the new owners after getting lost.
Lucky for us, I was used to doing the cooking and cleaning when I was living at my parents' house, so I didn't have any problem living with my grandpa.
Even though you're so young? Lucky grandpa, man.
Well, my parents acted like I didn't exist, so I had to make my own meals and everything.
I can't believe people like that really exist, man. You might take this the wrong way, but my parents take good care of me, so it's hard to imagine a household like that. Must have been tough, man.
No, I'm glad it's hard to imagine. It's best not to.
But what about your grandpa, man? Is he out on business today?
Grandpa? 2 years after I was going to and from my grandpa's and my parents' house, I became 17. In response to my dad's expectations, my older sister got into the hardest college in the country, MoniRobo University, with flying colors and began life as a college student. As for me, my dad warned me that he didn't have the money to waste on my education, and told me that I would have to aim for a scholarship. But considering my grades, it was already clear that I would begin working, not studying, after high school. In the past 2 years, the more I stayed with my grandpa, the more distance I could feel opening up between myself and my dad. I had been expecting it, but of course it still hurt. So when I began to look for a job, then, right in the middle of my job search, it happened. "Grandpa, I've come to play." Grandpa? Grandpa, wake up! Please, Grandpa! I called for an ambulance immediately, but it was too late. He suffered a brain aneurysm and never woke up ever again. It was really sudden and I had no idea what I was supposed to do, or how. Even my dad refused to help in preparing a funeral, saying that he only took over Grandma's funeral because he owed her, but that he owed nothing to Grandpa. Instead, I had to speak to a lawyer who explained to me that Grandpa had been on life insurance, and that it wasn't a lot, but that it would be enough to have a small funeral for him. The only attendees were myself, Pontige, and a picture of Grandma. It made me sad to think that my grandpa really didn't have that many connections with other people. But I also felt that he would have been happier this way, with just the loved ones that he had opened himself up to. The weather that evening was terrible, and I couldn't leave Pontige out in the pouring rain, but I was also due to go back to my parents' house the next day to talk about sorting through Grandpa's stuff, so I couldn't just shut him up in the Grandpa's house either. In the end, I decided to take him with me to my parents' house.
What's this dirty animal doing here?
It's Pontige. He's been staying with my grandpa for the past 2 years. I didn't want to leave him in the rain, so I brought him with me.
Don't let that animal into my house.
He'll just be in my room. He won't go anywhere else.
If it makes a mess, you're the one paying for the cleaning.
Yes, sir. And then when we started talking about what we would do with my grandpa's house and belongings, we found out from my grandpa's lawyer that he'd been previously deciding that if Grandpa didn't contact him for over 48 hours, that he wanted his lawyer to visit us and explain Grandpa's last will and testament. As a result, we were able to respect Grandpa's final wishes through the lawyer sitting with us and during the talks. I never realized that Grandpa was actually thinking about what would happen after he passed away.
I want that old house taken down, and I'm gonna sell the land that it was on. I don't want anything he has left behind. I want it gone.
Dad?
Akira, you better clean out the crap that's in the house. I want you to get rid of the raccoon that's been living in there too. Put it down, whatever.
How can you say that? Besides, we haven't even heard if Grandpa's house has gone to you yet.
Shut up! You don't have any right to decide what happens to that house, okay?
I don't care what you say, I'm on Grandpa's side.
You little...
Please calm down, both of you. Satoru made changes to his will 6 months ago. He made it clear that he wants his property and his land to go to his grandson, Akira.
He what?
Satoru started thinking about what he wanted in old age, and this is it. The only person that has any say in what happens to that property is Akira.
Then you should relinquish those rights to me, Akira. You've never done anything to meet my expectations, so this is the least you can do as my son for raising you.
No, I'm not giving anything to you. I'm not a tool for you to use. I'm grateful to you for raising me. I've had food, shelter, and clothes ever since I was born thanks to you. You've never hit me, I've never starved, but you've never loved me. You never showed me that you wanted me. All you've done up until now is just raise me like you have an obligation to. Even so, you make me out to be some sort of parasite. You're just relieved that one child has actually turned out the way you wanted them to, huh? At least you're just stuck with one failure and not two. I never raised my voice like I did then, and I said everything I felt toward my dad. He was shocked by my sudden outburst and was even silenced. But I didn't stop there. I still had plenty of things to say that had acclimated for the last 17 years, and I didn't have any intention of holding back anymore. I learned everything important about love and kindness from my grandma and grandpa, and I never learned anything about love from you. That's why I'm keeping everything, okay? It's mine.
Then get out! Take that filthy animal of yours and don't come back here. Do whatever you want with that old man's stupid house. It's actually perfect timing. We were just thinking about moving out of this house anyway.
What? What are you talking about?
Fumika's going to take over my business one day. We're gonna move out of this place and go into a house that's bigger and more sustainable for a family like ours. If you're leaving, we don't want to waste a single room on you. From now on, you're not family, so you can sit and rot all alone in that old house for all I care. Get out now!
My mom and older sister didn't react at all to my dad's cold words. I understood instantaneously that decision made by my father was unanimous. Alright, I'll accept that. Thank you for everything up until now. From today onwards, I'm leaving this house, and I'm gonna inherit my grandpa's property. Thank you all for coming today, but I'm very sorry. Is it possible that we could arrange for another meeting at my grandpa's house so I can hear the details of the will?
Of course, just give me a call.
Just like that, with the death of my grandpa and a few words from my dad, I lost my entire family.
What, bro? What the hell is wrong with your dad? Is he even human? Are you sure his blood isn't like green or something?
You might be right.
So that's how you ended up protecting your grandpa's house, man, and all your memories with him.
Yeah, I only managed to start up this inn right after high school because I had some help from Grandpa's lawyer.
And then, what happened to your family and your dad?
Well, I spoke with my grandpa's lawyer and he suggested that I get emancipated. So I did. It's not so simple cutting ties with family, but it was a start to becoming independent of them.
That does sound difficult, man, but I guess it was for the best, since you're doing so well now, man.
Yeah, you can say that. It's been 3 years since I cut ties with them, but I haven't contacted them at all. But I can imagine that they're living in a big fancy house, and that they've probably been pretty happy with themselves.
I'd choose this inn over a big fancy house any day, man.
Thanks, I'm happy that someone agrees with me, it's such an honor. So, where were you gonna go today?
Well, today I was planning on going… Hey, Akira! I know you're here, come out right now! Huh?
Frederick and I were both enjoying our conversation when shouts calling for me interrupted us. The last time I heard this man's voice was 3 years ago. Dad? It was unbelievable. The person standing before me was the man that had disowned me 3 years earlier. But he looked completely different now to how I remembered him. His clothes were torn and battered, and he was holding on to one medium-sized suitcase. But he didn't seem to be on holiday.
From today onwards, this house is mine.
What? Can you hear yourself?
Shut the hell up, Akira. Get out of my way. Hey, excuse me, man. You can't just force your way in here. This is Akira's inn. Who are you? I'm a guest at this inn, man. This is my room. Inn? Akira, you started an inn at my dad's house?
I inherited it, Dad. What do you care what I do with my own property? Anyway, what do you want? What are you doing here? I've got guests staying and I gotta be working.
Well, that's…
I knew you'd be here.
Fumika?
Akira, I'm sorry that Dad's gotten in the way of your business. I'm going to take him with me, and he'll never bother you ever again, so don't worry.
What's going on? You've got to explain all this.
This idiot had an affair with a woman from a rival company, and even went as far as to use company money for his own pleasures.
An affair?
It's my company, okay? It wasn't a big deal how I spend my money. It's all mine.
No, it's not. That money belongs to the company, and I'm vice president. Oh, wait, former vice president. Your company is now my company, Dad.
You took over?
We had a meeting with all of the shareholders, and it was agreed that Dad would leave, and I would succeed him. What did you expect? You tried to merge with a rival company without our consent after all, and slept with the woman you conspired with. How much money do you think our company lost because of you and your scandals? Did you really think that you could get away with all of that?
Shut up! She was the only one that understood my plan. I was bullied by my dad when I was a kid, and I didn't have a decent childhood. All I've ever done is work, but she filled in my loneliness, and now we're in love!
What? Is she your soulmate? How childish can you get? You're married. Mom loved you, cared for you, and you repaid her by sleeping with a younger, prettier woman? You piece of crap. You're despicable. I knew that you were a pathetic human being by the way you treated Akira, but I never thought you could go this far. Honestly, it makes me sick to think that I'm related to someone like you.
You what? How dare you speak to your own father like that?
Too bad. I've never thought of you as my father. The only reason why I did anything you told me to do was so that I could take over your company and kick you out. I'm just relieved that Akira managed to get out when he did. I'm not letting you get in the way of his freedom anymore, Dad.
Fumika?
Akira, you've always been such a sweet boy. I respected you for the way you stood by Grandpa, no matter what anyone in our family said to you. This house belongs to you and you alone. You deserve to live in peace, so I won't ever come back and neither will Dad. We're going, Dad.
The second she said that, some tough-looking men dressed in black came to the inn and surrounded my dad.
Stop! Let go of me! You can't take me away! Stop! No!
And after a few minutes, the storm had passed.
Your older sister was a good person, wasn't she, man?
But I never knew. I never knew that she felt that way. We never even spoke, even when I was living with my parents.
Well, this is just a hunch, but maybe she was always cold toward you on purpose. Maybe she was just trying to keep your dad's attention on her, man, so that you wouldn't suffer as much. She was always saying that she wanted you to live in peace after all. She must have always wanted you to be free from your dad to get away from the house, man.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks, Fumika. We might never meet again, but I'm wishing for your happiness and freedom too. And then, a few months later, I was contacted by a lawyer employed at my dad and sister's company who informed me about what happened at the company after the incident. First of all, my dad had been removed as president of the company and fired, just like Fumika had said. Apparently, he was denied on all forms of pension and job insurance too. My mom had filed a divorce, and because my dad was completely at fault, he was ordered to pay compensation. It seems that he tried to sell the mansion that they had moved into 3 years ago to pay back the compensation, but my sister already purchased the mansion herself. As a result, my dad had no rights to the mansion, and was kicked out soon after. That's why he had turned up at my inn. My sister made sure that a restraining order was put on my dad so that he wouldn't come near me or my home. She even arranged to have a security system set up for my inn. Thanks to Fumika, I can continue my business without having to worry about my dad bothering me. I'm really happy right now, Ponsuke. I hope that we can spend the rest of our lives this peacefully.